Part 108. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 1071. With so many people watching, Shenyan couldn't stand it, so he said awkwardly, "What? Tomorrow afternoon, follow me to the badminton hall and play badminton." Shenyan almost dropped his chopsticks, swam, and rode horses, and now he was taking him to play badminton. What on earth was Wen Qiao doing? "My dad asked you to teach me cultural knowledge, not to hire you to be my physical education teacher." Wen Qiao raised his eyebrows. "Your father only said that he would let me be a tutor and let me take care of you in all aspects. And if you lose, you must agree to whatever I ask for." Shenyan was so angry that his whole body was shaking, and all his face was lost on Wen Qiao. "You can also break your promise. It doesn't matter to me. Anyway, if you don't agree, I will spread these things." The staff at the racecourse were watching them carefully. Teacher Wen was the first one who dared to challenge their young master. They knew how many tutors had been driven away by anger in the past 2 years. I couldn't help but have more admiration for this teacher Xiao Wen. Shenyan held back his anger and said, "I'll just go with you." Wen Qiao smiled, "Be good." On the way back, he still walked. It took nearly an hour to walk back to the mansion from the racecourse. Shenyan was almost exhausted. As soon as he returned to the room, he fell asleep on the bed without even having time to take a shower. Wen Qiao's purpose was to consume his physical strength. When his physical strength was exhausted, he would no longer have the energy to scheme against her. Moreover, to let him know how powerful she is, before trying to plot against her, he must consider whether he is a match. That day's swimming, today's horse riding, as well as the proficiency in knowing all his various mechanisms and tricks. Given time, if this kid dares to make trouble on her head, then he is good at it. Today, number 3 sent her here. In the evening, number 3 drove over to pick her up. "Where's my brother-in-law?" "Sir, I went to the laboratory today and was in a bad mood." When he got home, he happened to see Susie coming back from outside with a gloomy face. Wen Qiao sat lazily on the sofa and asked him what was wrong. Susie glanced at her and said in a weak voice, "The experiment failed again. He has cured many difficult and complicated diseases, but for the person he cares about most, he can't find a cure." Wen Qiao could feel her uncle's confusion and helplessness, and could only comfort him, "There's no rush, we still have time, you take your time, and aren't there several ways to solve this?" Hizue gave him the way I'm leaving too. That brat Shenyan has been much more obedient recently, and I feel like the Shen family's blood should be available soon. Susie touched her head. "How can it be possible if all the eggs are put in one basket?" Wen Qiao spread his hands. "Failure is the mother of success. Let's take our time. I am confident that we will always succeed." Susie's eyes were complicated. "Take your time? How much time does he have left?" Less than 2 years later, he really felt a sense of urgency and felt it was urgent. "Well, I will continue to work hard. How about the Shen family?" Wen Qiao swayed his legs. "Shen Kuozhong has a very bad temper. Shenyan does have a certain mental disorder and a tendency to violence. This disease needs to be treated and unblocked. However, Shen Kuozhong beat and scolded him frequently, and Shenyan, who was already prone to violence, was influenced by it. However, I have taken him to exercise every day for the past 2 days, and I will also provide him with psychological counseling in a subtle way. After all, he is still a 9-year-old child. I do it calmly, and he does not notice it at all. Come out." Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 1072. Susie touched her head again and was speechless. When dinner was about to begin, Lu Yuyu suddenly ran over and said, Chiao Chiao, I have something important to tell you. Wen Chiao was stunned for a moment. What's the big deal? Lu Yuyu couldn't help but raise the corners of her mouth. I think it should be considered good news. So what's going on? Lu Yuyu raised his eyebrows. Wen Jianmin and Zhong Hui are making trouble. Wen Xiao, why are they making trouble? Because Zhong Hui and Su Lu were very good at calculating and felt that Wen Jianmin was treating them indifferently. Zhong Hui let her brothers and sisters take bribes in Wen Jianmin's company to line their own pockets. It is said that they embezzled a lot of money from Wen Jianmin and even transferred 2 companies to Zhong Hui. In the name of Brother Hui. Wen Xiao raised his eyebrows. Really? Wen Jianmin really brought the blame on himself. He let go of his good wife and children and insisted on luring the wolf into the house. Now he is really unhappy with his retribution. Wen Jianmin was not in good health for a while, so he delegated power. Unexpectedly, his capable subordinates colluded with Zhong Hui to embezzle his company. He found out 2 days ago, and now he has started a lawsuit. Wen Xiao shook his head. Lu Yuyu exhaled and said, this is really a dog-eat-dog situation. And if this matter gets too big, Su Lu's reputation in the circle will be bad. Wen Xiao scratched his forehead. I almost forgot about her. Is she still in the entertainment industry? Lu Yuyu snorted. If Su Lu knew this attitude of yours, wouldn't she be so angry? She's still here, on the 18th line. No matter how hard she struggles, there's no splash. Shenghua is average to her. She doesn't have any good resources, just some online dramas. Pai Pei, sometimes I can't even be the female lead, and I'm very unsatisfied when I play supporting roles for others. Wen Xiao chuckled. If she plays the piano well, maybe she can find a good path. Isn't that right? She really picked up the sesame and lost the watermelon. As a result, she is now in a state of high and low. She has to accompany her mother to fight a lawsuit with her dear uncle Wen for the past 2 days. When will the trial begin? It's only been a few days. What? Do you want to go to the court hearing? Just watch it online. The next day, Wen Xiao took Shen Yan to play at a badminton court near her home. The Shen family also had a badminton court, but she still took him down the mountain to let him feel the atmosphere of the land and interact with more people. Needless to say, it was another day where Wen Xiao was so tormented that he fell asleep. A 9-year-old child only has so much energy. Wen Xiao takes a heavy load of exercise every day, and he is really powerless to play pranks. 2 days later, the trial between Wen Jianmin and Zhong Hui began. At the scene, Wen Jianmin was still so angry that his chest was heaving. He was really like a tiger. After learning that Wen Mo was ill, he gradually stayed away from Su Yun and got involved with his secretary, Zhong Hui. Zhong Hui was gentle and sweet, especially good at talking, and always made him happy. Therefore, before the divorce, she got along with Zhong Hui, which strengthened his idea of divorcing Su Yun. Zhong Hui also contributed a lot to his successful divorce from Su Yun. Now that I think about it, he was really stupid. My original daughter and son were so excellent, and Su Yun was a particularly good wife and mother. Now they have helped others, and now that I am middle-aged, I still have to be plotted against the family fortune. Zhong Hui, this bitch. Zhong Hui stood in the dock as the defendant, while Su Lu sat in the audience wearing a mask. Of course she knew that her mother had begun to embezzle the Wen family's property. Wen Jianmin was becoming more and more stingy now, so he was okay with Wen Xian, and could even be said to be very mean to her, a stepdaughter who was not related by blood. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 1073. It wasn't because she wanted to cling to the Fu family and always vented her anger on her. Her mother was able to make this decision because she was the one who persuaded her. Anyway, her mother had been in the Wen family for so many years, and Wen Jianmin owed it to them. They couldn't be as stupid as Su Yun, and finally left the house. While they could still make money, of course they had to make more. Wen Jianmin came in from the back door of the court. When he passed Su Lu, he raised his hand and was about to slap her. Su Lu hid aside. The trial policeman grabbed Wen Jianmin and said, "Please pay attention to discipline in court." Wen Jianmin gritted his teeth and said, "I actually raised a white-eyed wolf." But Su Lu didn't feel guilty. "Why did you support me? My mother has been in this family for so many years, and I deserve all this." Wen Jianmin was furious. "What do you mean you deserve it? You and I are not related, and I have given you the best food and clothing over the years. Now, you and your mother are teaming up to calculate my family property. You are a wolf-hearted person. Even if I have a dog, I will be more sincere than you." There were not many people in the audience, most of them were Wen Jianmin's relatives and friends. Su Lu didn't dare to call people over. After all, this kind of thing was still disgraceful. "Uncle Wen, you are getting angry with me and starting a fight. It's boring. Let's see what the judge decides." The trial begins. Wen Qiao and Lu Yuyu sat under the big tree in her yard, eating melon and watching the live broadcast. The official website of the High Court will conduct live video recording of each case. Lu Yuyu also grabbed a handful of melon seeds and ate them leisurely. Wen Jianmin is probably so angry that his lungs hurt. To be honest, Su Lu and Zhong Hui are really cruel. Wen Jianmin was really nice to them before, and Su Lu is like his own child. "My daughter, you, a biological daughter, have nothing, but you buy Su Lu all kinds of expensive things, including food and clothing, all of which are famous brands, and you also buy a piano. In the end, you are really retribution. You deserve it." Wen Qiao chuckled. He indeed deserves it. The trial lasted a total of 2 hours. The final result was that Zhong Hui did not commit the crime of embezzlement of property because she did everything legally and compliantly. The private seals were all Wen Jianmin's and even had Wen Jianmin's signature. The company had been transferred to someone else's name, even if Wen Jianmin, the person involved, wanted to. If you want to recover it, you no longer have the upper hand. Wen Jianmin's mind was in chaos. He didn't even know when he signed those documents. Zhong Hui smiled proudly. When Wen Jianmin trusted her before, she had done a lot of small things. When he wasn't paying attention, she signed 2 more inconspicuous documents. Wasn't it easy? At the end of the court hearing, Lu Yuyu said while cleaning the melon seed peels, "Wen Jianmin is probably going to explode." Wen Qiao swiped the phone, and Lu Yuyu leaned over. "What are you looking at?" "I'm looking at the several companies that Zhong Hui and Su Lu have tried their best to get. They are all mainly engaged in business or something." "So, is it the main business or something?" "Mostly light-sensitive materials and some architectural stuff." "Lu Yuyu, I don't quite understand." Wen Qiao leaned on the recliner, put one hand under his head, frowned slightly, and continued to scroll on his phone. "I made a model before." "What model?" "It is a model of materials in the construction industry, predicting future trends, and the impact of international policies on these." "So what?" Wen Qiao smiled. "So with a high probability, Zhong Hui and Su Lu won't get any advantage?" "I don't understand." Lu Yuyu was confused. "Just wait and see. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me. The boss lost his memory and only remembers me." Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 1074. Although Wen Qiao predicted that the materials market in the construction industry would shrink in the near future, Wen Jianmin was inevitably made sick by Zhong Hui and Su Lu. This illness was quite serious. He suffered a cerebral hemorrhage out of anger. He suddenly fell ill at night and collapsed in the bathroom. The servant at home heard the noise and sent him to the hospital overnight. Soo-yoon only found out the news the next day. At the breakfast table, Aunt Rong, who had always been nice to them, came over to tell them. After saying that, he left. Wen Xiao stirred the milk in the cup and glanced at her mother. "You won't? Do you still want to take care of your heartless ex-husband?" Wen Xiao couldn't say the second half of the sentence. "Soo-yoon, no, someone is taking care of him. Doesn't he have several brothers? He also has nannies and servants at home." Although half of the family property was divided by Zhonghui, Wen Jianmin was not going to collapse. There was really no need to sympathize with his ex-husband who was ruthless to their family. Moreover, since she was with Ji Mingyuan, she had to worry about his feelings. She also knows what Jiao Jiao cares about most. The mistakes Wen Jianmin committed cannot be written off just because he fell ill. Wen Jiao nodded. "The best thing you can think of is this. When he was at his peak, he gave all his love to Zhonghui and the others, and now Zhonghui has robbed him of his family property and made him sick. If we still take care of him at this time, it's really too cheap." She didn't say anything to save face for her mother. "Then can I go see him?" Wen Xiao smiled. "Are you asking for my opinion?" "Soo-yoon, asking for your opinions. Mingyuan, do you agree?" Wen Xiao took a sip of milk. "If you ask me for my opinion, I will definitely disagree, but the decision is still yours. I won't interfere with you. The most important thing is what Uncle Ji thinks." Ji Mingyuan was gentle and generous, and shook Soo-yoon's hand. "After breakfast, go buy a fruit basket. I'll go with you." Soo-yoon looked at Wen Xiao and then at Wen Mo. Both siblings lowered their heads and ate breakfast in silence. No one answered her. "Then I'll go with your Uncle Ji." After breakfast, Soo-yoon put away the dishes and chopsticks. Wen Xiao went back to the room and came out. Wen Mo was nowhere to be seen. After looking around, she found him sitting on the trunk of a big tree, so she climbed up too. The two siblings sat side by side on the tree trunk. The summer wind passed through the tree tops, weakening the heat a bit. "Xiao Mo, what's wrong?" "Wen Mo, even if he is sick, I still don't want to forgive him. Am I so bad?" Wen Xiao held his hand. "What are you talking about? How could you be so bad?" Wen Mo lowered his eyes. "Do you think I'm cold-blooded? I don't even want to visit him in the hospital." Wen Xiao searched for words to comfort him. "I don't want to go either." "You are cold-blooded. Aren't I also cold-blooded? But Mom wants to go." Wen Xiao scratched the back of his head. "Mom seems to be different from us." Wen Xiao felt that the three siblings seemed more like their uncle in their personalities. They were calmer and more rational. They were not as emotional as her mother, nor could she always forget hatred quickly like her mother. Wen Mo was sullen and silent. Wen Xiao put his shoulder on his shoulder. "It's Wen Jianmin's fault. If you don't remember, I'll help you recall it. When Wen Jianmin learned that you had autism, he never treated us well at home and often scolded his mother. He also frequently beat and scolded me and Xiao Qi, and maybe he cheated on Zhonghui during this period, otherwise there would be no reason for us to marry Zhonghui within a few days after we left the Wen family. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me." Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 1075. When Mo finally had some expression. When we were driven out of the Wen family's gate, it was the 12th lunar month of winter and it was snowing outside. Mom was carrying you and I was holding Xiao Kai's hand. We dragged our suitcases and didn't even dare to take a taxi. We just walked in the snowy night. Well, you were still young at that time, so you probably didn't know why we walked all night that night. When Mo looked at her, "Why?" "At that time, Zhonghui came to our house as a guest. I was young at the time and didn't know that Zhonghui had any malicious intentions. When we were alone, Zhonghui called me over. Suddenly, she fell to the ground. I didn't know anything. Then I heard Wen Jianmin's voice. He scolded me angrily, saying that I pushed Zhonghui. Zhonghui collapsed on the ground crying. Wen Jianmin comforted her, got up and gave me a big slap. Wen Mo held her hand tightly. Wen Xiao added, Wen Jianmin asked me to admit my mistake to Zhonghui. I said I was right. She pretended to fall. Wen Jianmin slapped me again. I was only 9 years old at the time. This slap hit me. I fell on the ground, and it seemed that the corners of my mouth were bleeding. It had been so long that I didn't remember much, and I didn't cry. I even saw Zhonghui behind Wen Jianmin showing a successful smile. I pointed at Zhonghui and said, Dad, look, she smiled secretly, she did it on purpose. Thinking of the past, Wen Xiao felt a little confused. I said this, but Wen Jianmin didn't believe it. I know now that he actually wanted to drive us away a long time ago. He finally found an excuse. No matter whether Zhonghui did it intentionally or not, he would make a fuss out of a molehill and go to court. I got angry and it hurt a lot from his beating. Fortunately, my mother believed me and learned about this, so she signed the divorce agreement that night, packed her bags, and left the Wen family. Wen Mo reached out and hugged her, sister. Wen Xiao smiled, so the suffering we have suffered should always be remembered in our hearts. People like Wen Jianmin will never deserve our forgiveness. It's just that my mother is born with that kind of character. Let her take a look. You don't need to feel guilty if you don't go, you know. Wen Mo, yes, I understand, sister. This time Zhonghui was very ruthless. Not only did she take away half of Wen Jianmin's family property, she even took away Wen Xian's custody rights. As a result, Wen Jianmin was left alone, lying on the hospital bed. He is conscious but unable to speak yet. His disease can only be treated conservatively, because surgery is very risky and he may become a vegetative state. When he saw Suyun, his tears couldn't stop flowing down. Suyun put down the fruit basket and said some words of comfort to him, asking him to take good care of his illness. When he was about to leave, Wen Jianmin grabbed Suyun's hand, tears streaming down his face, as if he hoped she could stay. Suyun glanced at Ji Mingyuan. Ji Mingyuan's expression was indifferent. Suyun seemed to have made up her mind and just patted Wen Jianmin's hand. I will come see you when I have time. You can take good care of your health. Finally, he pulled away his hand and left the ward with Ji Mingyuan. Wen Jianmin couldn't say a word, and there was only regret and endless regret in his heart. If he had faced it positively, treated his child's illness, and treated Suyun kindly, he would not have ended up like this. Now, he has no one close to him, and his children don't even kiss him, and he doesn't even regard him as his father. When he gets sick, he doesn't have a wife or children to take care of him, and he has to trouble others. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 1076. He never thought that this day would come to him, Wen Jianmin. On the other side, Zhonghui, Sulu, and Wen Xian moved into the new villa, especially Sulu. Fortunately, her mother listened to her and had been secretly transferring property for the past 2 years. Now it's better. She no longer has to look at other people's faces. Wen Xian went upstairs, and mother and daughter were sitting outside the villa drinking coffee. Zhonghui said proudly, I heard that Wen Jianmin is ill. Sulu chuckled, it's not his own fault. His mental quality is so poor. Didn't you leave some for him? Is he like this? Besides, Mom, you have not contributed much to the Wen family these years, but you have worked hard. He just wanted to get rid of you with some brand name bags and cars. He was so heartless. We deserved these. Zhonghui held the coffee cup elegantly. That's it, now. I did a rough calculation and found that we are now worth over 100 million. From now on, you don't have to be inferior to others in front of that damn girl Wen Xiao. Entertainment. If you are willing to do the work in the circle, then keep doing it. It's okay if you don't want to. Playing the piano is elegant and easy. You don't have to work hard for this family. Sulu's eyes heated up. It depends on the situation. It's easy to make money in the entertainment industry. You see, even though I am at the 18th level, I still make much more than playing the piano. Zhonghui, it's up to you, don't make yourself too hard. In the evening, at the dinner table at Wen Xiao's house, Su Yun talked about what happened during the day. He is very ill and can't speak. No one answered. It was Ji Mingyuan who answered her words. I asked the doctor about conservative treatment. If he can talk again later, there will be people taking care of him over there. You don't have to worry. Wen Xiao, Wen Mo, and Su Ce were all silent. It was written on his face that we were not very worried about him. Su Yun and Ji Mingyuan were a little embarrassed. These two people are more like all living beings in the mortal world. Their pain will naturally be smoothed over as time goes by, and they can feel sympathy for people like Wenji and Min. But Wen Xiao and the others won't. She will remember the pain for a lifetime. Well, she will remember it forever. Wenji and Min, just wish yourself good luck. After dinner, Wen Xiao and Wen Mo went for a walk. Su Yun asked him to go to the fruit shop outside and bring back a watermelon when he came back. The two siblings were wearing t-shirts and loose trousers, strolling slowly on the dimly lit bluestone road. Wen Xiao could clearly feel that after being enlightened by her, Xiao Mo was no longer so worried and could talk and laugh with her. We have a summer camp for the mathematical Olympiad class next week. Have you signed up? Well, Teacher Joe asked me to participate. It's time to start my sophomore year of high school. Time flies so fast. When Mo pursed his lips, actually, I think it's too simple. If you want to participate, you can participate. If you don't want to participate, it doesn't matter if you go back to Teacher Joe. I'd better join. You guys are often away from home, and I'm quite bored by myself. After walking around on the path outside, when Mo was holding a big watermelon in his arms, determined not to let his sister help him share it, I can lift it. When Xiao touched his arm, you have thin arms and legs. Upon touching it, she discovered that the boy she thought she had strong arms. The arms have beautiful lines and even have muscles. Xiao Mo, it's okay. When Mo smiled shyly, didn't my sister ask my brother-in-law's bodyguard to teach me kung fu? I've been learning it. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 1077. When Xiao was pleased, well, you have done well in physical training. No one in school dares to bully you now, right? No. Wen Xiao seemed addicted to touching. She grabbed his arm and sighed while touching him. I didn't expect that our Xiao Mo would have such a thing as muscles one day. The lines on your arms are comparable to those of your brother-in-law. In the dark alley, a hand suddenly stretched out and pulled Wen Xiao over, falling into a hard chest. Wen Xiao almost shouted until a familiar smell flashed across his nose, which was that of Funanli. How do Xiao Mo's lines compare to mine? You can touch mine more carefully, okay? When Mo just stood there stupidly, looking at his sister and brother-in-law. Funanli glanced at him. You go home first. When Mo hadn't come back to his senses yet and looked at his sister. Wen Xiao thought to himself, this child, after realizing it in hindsight, is really sad. When will he be sensible? Xiao Mo, go home first. When Mo then hurried back with the big watermelon in his arms. There is no light in this corner, only the starlight is surging above the head, and the chirping of insects in the corner is heard in the summer night. Fu Nanli grabbed her hand and touched his arm. Feel it, whose arm is more powerful? Wen Xiao, what do you care about with a 17-year-old child? Sometimes this man who is 9 years older than her is really childish. You touch it and see. The man was a little reluctant. Wen Xiao had no choice but to touch his arm, but there was still a difference. There was an essential difference between a boy's body and a man's body. At least when Wen Xiao touched his arm, his heartbeat would speed up. Well, you're in better shape. What's so good about it? He leaned against the wall and spoke like a scoundrel. Wen Xiao moved his fingers inch by inch. You have muscles in your arms, abdominal muscles here, chest muscles, wide shoulders, narrow waist. The man's breathing was obviously out of rhythm, and he grabbed her hand. I asked you to touch your arm, where did you touch it? Wen Xiao looked innocent. Forget it if you don't touch me. Fu Nanli looked helpless. Let's talk about it when we go home. Are you going to my place? Wen Xiao, I just bought a big watermelon. The boss said it was very sweet. Fu Nanli pinched the soft flesh on her waist. Are you so greedy? Wen Xiao, isn't that what cravings mean? After saying that, he was picked up by someone. I asked Qin Bei to buy a watermelon on the way. Isn't it just a watermelon? As soon as he arrived at Fu Nanli's apartment, Su Ce called, what time will you be back? Fu Nanli narrowed her eyes. This uncle was stricter than her mother. Wen Xiao, Xiao Mo didn't say anything? I'm here with Fu Nanli. Xiao Mo only said that you met Fu Nanli. I thought you would come back. I was going to teach you about Western medicine. Come back early tomorrow morning. Okay. Wen Xiao hung up the phone, and her uncle said that if she wanted to get the blood of 7 people, it would be best to master more skills. Yes, she is already overwhelmed with various skills, but my uncle still feels that it is not enough. He hopes that she will study Chinese medicine and be proficient in Western medicine. If her IQ is not that high, this kind of intensive study will collapse her long ago. After hanging up the phone, Wen Xiao and Fu Nanli sat on the sofa watching Zhou Tao's TV series. Fu Nanli had no interest in this kind of fairy tale drama at all. Wen Xiao just wanted to contribute to the ratings of the TV series produced by his company, so he turned it on as background sound and occasionally chatted with Fu Nanli. Zhou Tao is so beautiful. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me. The boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 1078. Fu Nanli didn't even raise his head, and said to her, after several projects on my hands are stabilized, I will be very free for a while, and I can stay with you. Wen Xiao turned his attention to him. Did you work overtime in order to finish your work quickly? Fu Nanli pointed his finger. No, I have always been very efficient at work. Wen Xiao called Qin Bei downstairs. I have something to ask you. Miss Wen, tell me. Has your young master not paid attention to rest at work lately? Qin Bei was silent for 2 seconds and quickly said, it's nothing, the young master always pays attention to rest. Fu Nanli frowned, thinking that this kid could talk and avoided the danger of being almost expelled. Wen Xiao didn't bother and hung up the phone. When will you be free? In another half-month, I will be very free. Whether it is the Shen family or other places, I can accompany you. You are not allowed to refuse. Her brother-in-law and number 3 could go, but why couldn't he go? He wanted to stay with her. Wen Xiao nodded. Okay, I hope the Shen family's situation will be resolved by then. I heard from my uncle that the next one will be in a small village in the mountains of Hangzhou. We will be together then. Although Fu Nanli said that he did not shorten the construction period because of working overtime, Wen Xiao still felt that the people around him were tossing and turning at night. Seems to be suffering from insomnia. He used to suffer from insomnia, but after being with her, he seemed to have recovered without medication. Now, Wen Qiao hugged his waist from behind and said in a vague voice, "Can't you sleep?" The man's body stiffened. "Well, I drank too much coffee at night and I don't feel sleepy." "You can go to sleep." Wen Qiao found it strange that this man drank coffee like water and could drink coffee in the middle of the night. How could he have insomnia because of drinking coffee? He raised his hand and accidentally touched his head. The short hair on his forehead was soaked with sweat. Wen Qiao was startled and quickly turned on the bedside lamp, and saw that Fu Nanli's face was pale and sweat was rolling on his forehead. "What's wrong with you?" Seeing that he couldn't hide it, Fu Nanli said calmly, "It's nothing, it's just the same old habit." "What's the old problem?" "My stomach hurts a little." Wen Qiao quickly called Li Fang and asked Li Fang to come over quickly. When Li Fang heard that Fu Nanli had a stomach problem, he didn't dare to delay and rushed here overnight. In less than 20 minutes, Li Fang came over with a medicine box. When Fu Nanli's father passed away, he didn't eat much. No matter how much his grandmother begged him, he couldn't eat. At that time, he suffered from stomach troubles. Later, if he ate well, it would be fine. If he didn't eat well, it would easily relapse. Li Fang is already very experienced. "I'll give you a shot of water." Did you not eat well?" Fu Nanli glanced at Wen Qiao and saw Wen Qiao suddenly walking out. "I'll go back." Li Fang was giving Fu Nanli an injection. When he moved his hand, Li Fang missed the injection, and blood immediately flowed into the needle tube. Li Fang lightly clicked his tongue. "Master, don't move." Fu Nanli's face turned ugly. "You're too talkative. Who told you to ask whether you want to eat or not?" Li Fang felt that he had died unjustly. "I am a doctor and you are a patient. I can't even do routine inquiries." "That girl seems angry." Li Fang changed the needle and inserted it into him again. "Why are you angry?" "In order to be with her, I did work a little too long some time ago, so I didn't eat on time. I didn't expect that my stomach is still so fragile. The mountains and rivers will be remembered forever, and the majesty will last forever. Celebrate the 12th anniversary of the Wenchuan earthquake. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me. The boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 1079. Li Fang shook his head. You really have to take good care of your body, don't let Xiao Wen worry." Fu Nanli wanted to call Wen Qiao, but saw that she left in a hurry and didn't take her mobile phone with her. When the saline in the infusion bag was halfway drained, Fu Nanli heard the door open downstairs and she came back again. Wen Qiao went upstairs in a hurry, holding what seemed to be her acupuncture kit. "You went back just to get this?" Wen Qiao, "Well, what's wrong?" Fu Nanli saw that her knees seemed to be bruised, so he waved her over. "What's going on here?" Wen Qiao said nonchalantly, "I was running too fast while wearing flip-flops. The corners of the flip-flops broke and I fell down." Li Fang saw the distressed expression on their young master's face and felt deeply that if he stayed, he would just be a light bulb, so he told Wen Qiao, "After the water is finished, you can pull out the needle for him, right?" "Yes, I will." There were only two of them left in the room. Fu Nanli held her hand. "Li Fang is here, why are you still going home to take this? Don't you have a stomachache? I can give you acupuncture to relieve the pain quickly." Fu Nanli touched her face. "Silly girl." When Wen Qiao gave him the injection, he glanced at him. "Join Qin Bei to lie to me." "It's not a lie." Wen Qiao's tone was a little heavy. "You are already so busy at work, and you forcefully compress your time for me. This will make me look very ignorant, and your girlfriend is not that clingy." Fu Nanli chuckled. it's just because my girlfriend is not clingy that I worry about her. Wen Qiao inserted the needle for him, brought it to his mouth, and kissed him. My girlfriend will stick to you more in the future, don't worry. Young Master Fu had no intention of tasting her sweetness, so he held her hand tightly. Don't flirt. The main reason is that he is currently unable to move. There are needles inserted in his hands and silver needles inserted in the Zhonyu endpoint on his abdomen. He really can't move. But with her skillful hands, the burning pain in the stomach was relieved a lot not long after the silver needle was inserted. Dr. Wen's medical skills are really superb. Wen Qiao adjusted the regulating valve on the infusion tube and chuckled. Dr. Wen told the patient to eat well in the future. Did the patient hear it? Fu Nanli, I will follow Dr. Wen's advice. 2 days later, Sapphire came to an end. The average ratings on both channels exceeded 2, and the views on both network platforms exceeded 5 billion, making it the first hit this summer. Zhou Tao became a well-known traffic star on major charts, and all of a sudden, major endorsements came one after another. Zhou Tao's film and television contracts and business contracts are all with Nan Qiao. The agent hired by Wen Qiao is indeed very capable and has given her several particularly suitable big-name endorsements, including cosmetics, luxury goods, sports, food, and balanced development. But where there are fans, there are also fans, and there are actually a lot of men on Zhou Tao's path to fame. As much as fans love it, black people hate it. Suddenly, as long as Zhou Tao's post is opened in the forum, it is guaranteed to be the most popular, and the battle between fans and black people will be very lively. At the end of the day, there was a celebration banquet, and everyone from Nan Qiao Company except Tong Wei attended. Wen Qiao asked Lu Yuyu, isn't Tong Wei's scene finished yet? No, your boyfriend's cousin is too strict and very annoying. It will take at least another month. Wen Qiao, that's too tragic. Fu Nanli also came. Because her stomach was not completely healed, Wen Qiao whispered to the waiter to bring her a bowl of white porridge and a plate of fried vegetables. Lu Su joked, is Mr. Fu old enough to maintain his health? Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 1080. Wen Qiao's heart skipped a beat. Lu San, you are too brave, you really hit Fu Nanli's life gate accurately. Fu Nanli's face was livid, and Wen Qiao couldn't help but explain, he has been feeling sick to his stomach for the past 2 days. Lu Su vaguely realized that he had made Mr. Fu unhappy, so he quickly left and chatted with Fang Duo. He had less worries about chatting with Sha Baidian. The director, producer, and some young actors of the crew came today. When everyone came in and saw young Master Fu there, they suddenly became a little cautious. Zhou Tao chatted with Lu Su Fang Duo throughout the whole process, while Junling always looked at her cautiously. Immediately afterwards, Song Yuchen came in, and it became lively. Because Fang Duo is a fan of hers, I heard that when Song Yuchen participated in the talent show, Miss Amplified spent huge sums of money to canvass him for votes. When he saw Song Yuchen coming in, Fang Duo said loudly, you're here, I'll be waiting for you. After speaking, he ran to Song Yuchen and said, that song you wrote is so nice. I'll play it again. How about it? There was a 3-dimensional surround sound system in the huge hall. Fang Duo casually connected to Bluetooth and played the song her on her phone in front of everyone. Junling stood in the corner and watched Song Yuchen looking at Zhou Tao without hesitation. Zhou Tao's eyes were slightly averted, as if she felt a little embarrassed. Lu Su seemed to be comforting her. She is a sensitive and reserved person. Although she has only worked with her on one TV series, he feels that he understands Zhou Tao. Song Yuchen's love was too warm for her, and she preferred to keep a low profile. But what qualifications does he have to say this? There was no position anymore, everything was destroyed by his own hands. Fang Duo is such a silly girl. She seems to have no idea about Zhou Tao's involvement with Lu Wenzhou and Jun Ling. Of course, how could Wen Qiao and Lu Yuyu dare to tell her that if the loudspeaker was exposed, it would be bad for Zhou Tao? Fang Duo made a fuss and looked at Zhou Tao ambiguously. He came close to her and whispered, "I love Do and like my good friend. Am I dreaming? Our Xiao song is really good. Think about it." Zhou Tao was holding a tall wine glass and was so embarrassed that she couldn't speak. Song Yuchen is the world's top Weibo, Google, YouTube Pop, Billboard Hot 100, popularity Fault C, the fairy Song Yuchen on earth, both men and women Song Yuchen. Lu Su narrowed his eyes and looked at her. "Sister, can you speak in human words? We don't understand what you are saying." Fang Duo grabbed Zhou Tao's hand. "Song Yuchen is really nice. Look, he is handsome, has a good figure, is a great dancer, and has great musical literacy. He writes lyrics and music for his own songs. He is a copyright tycoon. Moreover, he has a lot of money at home. Qian, does he? Don't you really think about it?" Lu Su, okay, don't sell Amway here. I think that's it. It was inconvenient for his brother to come over, so he had to block it for him. He still hoped that Zhou Tao would be his sister-in-law. Fang Duo snorted softly, "I think you are jealous." "Lu Su, you really made me laugh. Why should I be jealous of him? I am a movie star. Do you know the status of movie stars in the industry?" Fang Duo chuckled, "If Song Yuchen is willing to act in a movie, I guess nothing will happen to you. What's the point of being proud of?" "Lu Su, I have such a bad temper." Fang Duo, has a bad temper? I think he has a bad temper. We are both the second generation of rich people, but Song Yuchen has a lot more rest than you. There was a lot of noise in the hall, and there was a commotion at the door. It was unknown who the big shot was.